Okay, so again, we're going to say thank you to everybody for joining us. And today's session is all about adding audio and video to your Canvas course sites. Just like what we've done in all the other sessions, if you want to type your questions into the chat, John will be managing those questions and responding as needed. If he needs me to demo something in Canvas, he'll interrupt and let me know. When we're done with this session today, if we have time, like always, we'll answer any questions that you might have that we didn't have a chance to go over during the session. And when the recording is available, we'll make sure to send it out to everybody. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started by sharing my screen and opening up Canvas. And today's session, again, is all about how you add audio and video to Canvas. And there might be a lot of different reasons why you want to add audio and video to Canvas. You might want to create welcome messages at the start of the semester that students can watch and view, especially for online courses or these remote modalities that we're going to be tackling more and more in the fall and possibly the spring, so that students have the opportunity to not only see you but hear you instead of just reading text-based welcomes that you would post normally. You might also want to provide extra instructions or how to assist with assignments that really are helpful to students instead of just reading step-by-step instructions, to actually hear you giving some helpful tips and tricks for what to do and how to successfully complete an assignment. You might also want to post lectures so that they have the opportunity to review course content and materials if you're teaching hybrid prior to coming to class, if you're planning to teach at least some in the classroom in the fall. Another reason that you might want to use audio and video is for office hours. So, especially we're not going to be on campus as much as we usually are in the fall. You might want to use video to have your office hours with students so that you can still stay in touch and answer questions from a distance. And you also need to be aware that students have the ability to record audio and video and use audio and video in Canvas as well. It's not just an instructor tool. And there really are 5 simple ways that you can get audio and video added to your Canvas course sites. And I'm going to demo those 5 options. And then we'll also talk a little bit about how you can use different tools like Zoom, like Screencastomatic, which is something we recommend. And there's also a new feature that we're going to just mention called Loom that you can use to do your lecture captures. So if you are interested in recording lecture for students to review online in Canvas, there are some tools that you can use to do that. So to get started, we're going to talk first about the rich content editor. It has a tool called the Record Upload Media option, which allows you to create audio and video in a bunch of different locations in Canvas. So if you create announcements in Canvas, and you can find the announcements link in that course menu on the left-hand side of any course that you're in, you are able to create brand new announcements on the fly. If you need to send inbox messages, and you'll see the inbox link in the red global navigation menu on the left-hand side of your screen. If you are creating new discussion posts or new content pages or new assignments or creating content in the syllabus, in any of those locations, we have access to the rich content editor. So we're in announcements. I'm going to click that new announcement button at the top right of our screen. And when I'm in the edit options for this announcement, I'm given access to what Canvas calls the rich content editor. Sometimes you'll see it shortened as RCE. And that toolbar above the text area is considered part of the rich content editor. The options on the right-hand side of the screen where I can include links and files and images is also considered part of that rich content editor. But for our purposes today, we're looking for the icon that kind of looks like a play button. I will try to zoom in a little bit. It looks a little bit like the playback button. And when you click that particular icon in the rich content editor, it will launch Canvas's Record Upload Media option. When you're in this option, you'll see that you can choose to record your mic, or you can choose to record your webcam. You also have the ability to upload media. So if you have created content outside of Canvas, you used something else to record, your iPad, your phone, you want to upload a file that you've created, you can do that by selecting either the audio upload option or the video upload option. But if you are going to record on the fly, you simply select start recording, you get a countdown. Canvas is now recording anything and everything that I'm saying, and when I click finish and save, it will automatically embed that video or that audio that I've recorded into this announcement that we're creating right now. But if this was a discussion, it would embed it there, a page, it would embed it there as well. Once I click save, that video is then available and easily played back by students when reviewing that particular announcement. So again, I can access that rich content editor from the announcements tool where we are. I can embed that video or audio in an inbox message using the inbox tool in Canvas. If I head over to discussions and I create a new discussion, I have access to that record upload media here as well as assignments, quizzes, the syllabus, and content pages. Any questions about the rich content editor and recording on the fly in Canvas?
If I may query, is this function also available to students, the recording function?
Yes. So if you are asking them to respond to a discussion with a video response instead of a text response, when they click reply, they have access to that record upload media option in their toolbar as well.
Wonderful, thank you.
Quelly, before you leave this, could you just go into student view? I'd like to see what it looks like once you've recorded and the file is there. I'd like to see what it looks like from the student's point of view.
I'm going to do a new share. Hang on, let me make sure I'm logged in as a student in Firefox. Give me a second to just log in as a student, and then I'll do a new share.
Can you download them into modules also?
If you add it to a page of content, and that page can be added to modules. Okay, so I'm going to do a new share.
While Quelly's pulling that up, there's a question in the chat: how long can the video be recorded? While there's not necessarily a set specific time, it will end up having to do with how long the file ends up running. And so a 2 to 3 minute video, like one of those intro videos on a discussion board, is no issue. But if you're trying to have students do, say, like a 15-minute presentation, you'll quickly run into issues as that's going to start maxing out Canvas storage space for either your course or the particular user. And Helen, yes, we do have access to Illumira still. That's going to be one of the topics that we cover in a few minutes.
Okay, so this is the student view of that announcement. And so as a student, I'm able to click Canvases. I can maximize and put it in full screen if I wanted to. I can pause, I can make it louder. You know, you have pretty much all the same controls that you would have if you were watching any video clip using something like YouTube, all of the things, controls that they are familiar with.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll switch back. Okay. Ah, great. Technology. Remember the new password. I have to say that to myself out loud. Okay. So we're going to go back into the course, and we are going to talk about the second way that you can add video content to Canvas. And Helen, that would be Illumira. So the question that you just asked, do we still have access to Illumira? Yes, we do. And Illumira is the streaming service that we are using, that we are licensed for use, and we are integrated with Canvas. And Illumira is what you want to use when you want to upload and store instructor created content So if you have created narrated PowerPoint presentations, if you have recorded lecture content using some other tool and you want to share that content in Canvas, like John said, we do not recommend that you upload those videos directly to the files area because it will eat up the space allotted to your Canvas course pretty quickly. So what we do recommend is that you add that content to Illumira. Once it's in Illumira, it's up in the cloud. It's not eating up the Canvas storage space. Students are able to stream it pretty much on any device that they're using pretty easily. And it's our tool and it's available in every course. If you do not see Illumira Video Browser in your list of options in the course menu on the left-hand side of the screen, you want to make sure you click the settings link that's at the bottom of your course menu. You want to make sure you click on the third tab, which is called the navigation tab. And then you want to find Illumira in the list of options at the bottom of the page. I'm going to click on the dots and select enable, which will move it to the list of available options at the top. One last step, you have to remember to scroll back down and click save, or it will ignore that you have enabled Illumira in the course. Once I click save, you'll see that the link now appears in my course menu. And so again, if I have content that I have recorded myself, I'm going to use Illumira to store that content and share it with students in my Canvas course site. So I'm going to click Illumira. When we're in this screen, before I do anything, I want to click this course settings button. If you want students to be able to upload and store content here as well, you can turn that allow students to upload media to this course option on. The media that they upload is not automatically visible to everyone in the class. It is really only visible to the instructor until the instructor makes it available to the rest of the class if they so choose, but it gives students a place where they can store content so it's not eating into their storage space that's allowed by Canvas either, and they can then submit to an assignment or embed that video in a discussion as well. So if you want to allow students that ability, again, just click course settings and then check the allow box. If you're ready to upload your own video content, you simply click the very first button, which is upload. Then you're going to select the video or audio option. And then you're going to browse to and select the file from where you have it saved on your computer. So I'm going to say upload from device. Let's see if I can find an MP4 in all of this mess. I have too much crap. And I'm just going to say open. Once you select the file and click open, depending on how small it is or how big it is, this goes pretty quickly, the upload process. Once it's complete, the last thing you have to do is provide a summary. And then we're going to click submit. Once the video is uploaded here in Illumira, it is now available in this course to the students in the roster. So one way that they are able to view the content is they simply click the Illumira link, they click the video, and then they can click play. So that's one quick and easy way that they can access the content. If you wanted to embed this content in a page in Canvas, the other way that you would share it is you would find the location. So maybe we're going to come to my modules area, and I'm very quickly going to create a page. So this is where my video lecture is going to reside. So I'm going to add this item to the module, and then I'm just going to click it to open. Just like everywhere in Canvas, if we want to make changes to something, we look for the edit button and click. And then the way we embed from Illumira, in some cases you may see the icon for Illumira directly in your Rich Content Editor toolbar. Mine is not appearing, but what I will do is I'm going to click this icon that looks like a V or a caret pointing down, And there is my Illumira option. So you'll either see it directly in your Rich Content Editor toolbar, or you'll have to look for it in the external tools option. When I select Illumira, it gives me access to any of the video content that I have uploaded and stored in my collection. When I find the video that I want to embed, I simply select. It shows up in my page. I go ahead and click Save. And now it's embedded in a page that students can easily access from my modules area. So again, they can access directly from the video browser itself by clicking the video browser, or you can embed it in a page of content in your modules area. You can embed it in an announcement. You can embed it in a discussion. Anywhere that you can edit and create content in Canvas is where you can embed content that you're storing in Illumira. Another use for Illumira is if you are using library digital resources. So if you have submitted a streaming request form to the library for content that is in the library's catalog, then what they will do is that content will be digitized for you if it is not already, and shared with you. So when I'm going to click this second button here at the top, Import Media, everybody has a couple of collections or sources that you can choose from. The content that you upload and store is going to be stored in your personal collection and associated with whatever courses you add it to. If you are requesting resources from the Rider University's libraries, you might also have access to either the Moore Library Collection or the Talbot Library Collection. And when you have access to those collections, they will share that digital resource with you, and you are able to add it to your course simply by clicking the Add to Course button. Okay. If you no longer need students to have access to that particular resource, then you just remove it from course. And while it is still shared with you, it is no longer accessible in this particular course. So again, Illumira is for content that you're creating and uploading yourself for storage, or for content that the library is digitizing and sharing with you. Any questions about Illumira and those two options?
I have a question about a situation I have right now with Illumira. I have a number of films in my course, and some of them, when students click on them, they watch the film. And then there are a couple of them that when the students click on them, they get a message that says you don't have access to this file. What would cause that to happen?
Are these the same students, so they're able to watch some things
Yes.
but not others?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do we happen to know if they're using the same browser every time they go in to try to access these films? We do see peculiar behavior sometimes depending on the browser that's being used. I will say we see a lot more issues with Safari than we do with some of the others. In the past, we've had some issues intermittently with Chrome. So usually what we suggest is that a student uses a different browser to see if that clears the issue up. If that does not, let us know so that we can troubleshoot further, because it should not happen. They should have access to it. If it's available and in your course, they should not be receiving that error message.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so the third way that you can add video content to your course is by adding what we call apps to your Canvas course. And so if there's YouTube content that you have found and you'd like to share and it's valuable, Khan Academy, TED Talks, any of those third-party video content that exists out there can be shared very easily in Canvas by adding first the app to the Canvas course. So I'm going to click the settings link at the very bottom of my course menu. And when I get to my settings area, I want to click this fourth tab, which is called Apps. And it'll give me a list of external apps that can be added to Canvas. I'm going to search for YouTube. Once I find YouTube, I simply want to click on it and make sure I click this Add App button. It'll give me this little pop-up window that's, letting me know it's going to add the YouTube app. I just need to confirm and click the Add App button. So what it does is it installs the app in my course, and now in any of those places where we just talked about adding Illumira video content, I can now very easily search for and embed YouTube content as well. Another popular place where third-party video content is also found is Vimeo. So if you happen to have content that you like to use or you found in Vimeo, you can also add the Vimeo app to your course. And again, just like we did with YouTube, we click Add App and confirm by adding that as well. And then if I head back to modules and I go back to this video lecture page that we created for the Illumira content, I'm going to click Edit again. And so maybe in this particular course, I'll be patient, I want to add all of the video lecture content on one page so that they're reviewing it all together. Just like I did with Illumira, I want to click the external tool icon in that rich content editor toolbar, and I'll find YouTube listed. When I click YouTube, and I patiently wait for it to open, it will eventually give me a screen where I can search for content. If you know the URL, you can paste that in and search for it that way. Oh boy. Let's see.
Oh, while we wait for that spinning wheel to go on, just because a couple of folks have put in the chat that they continue to get that error in Illumira saying permission denied or something, even when they are in Chrome and on an updated in Chrome. If you are getting that issue, please submit a ticket to the help desk. They need to be made aware of that, and they need to work with you to fix that. You definitely, we don't want you guys to be suffering because a tool is going awry. So if you are experiencing that issue, please just email helpdesk@rider.edu or rider.edu/helpdesk to submit a ticket. That way the desktop team or the media services team can be in touch with you.
John, I submitted a ticket last week, and so far nothing. It's problematic because this is a short course. It's 6 weeks. And
Elena, I'm going to go look and see where that ticket is.
I was going to say, we'll try to follow up and see if we can push that along. Okay, so once you've opened up the YouTube page and it finishes loading, again, if you knew the URL, you can copy and paste it into that search box, but you can always put in a phrase and it will find the videos that match your search criteria, and you would be able to look through and preview these. But if you find the video that you want to use, we simply click Embed. And right in that page of content, it will also embed that YouTube clip. Again, when I click Save, it's embedded in the page. Students are able to click play. They can pause, they can make it full screen. If there are closed captions, they can turn those on. So they have full control of the player right within the Canvas window. So again, if you want to do that from YouTube or you want to do that from Vimeo or some of those other third-party platforms, it's very easy to do by adding the app to the Canvas course and then using the tools that are available in that rich content editor toolbar to embed the videos in this page of content. Any questions about that?
Yeah, in terms of turning on closed caption, is that something the instructor does or a student does as they view the video?
For the YouTube clips, this is something that each user is in control of. So if I'm pushing play here, I can turn those captions on or off myself. That's not something you have to enable for the students. For the instructor created content, that's a different story, and we'd have to talk offline. Videos uploaded to Illumira are not automatically captioned. It would require manual intervention to create a captioning file and associate it with the video.
Okay.
Okay, so number 4 on the list of how do you add audio and video to a Canvas course site is actually using SpeedGrader. So when you think of SpeedGrader, you usually just think of it as the place where you go to grade students and give them a numeric score or maybe even give them some text feedback. But SpeedGrader in Canvas also allows you to provide audio and video feedback on assignments and assessments that students are submitting online in Canvas. So I am going to go in to SpeedGrader for one of these test assignments. And so when you're in the SpeedGrader window, the frame on the left is where the student's submission will display once it has been uploaded and turned in by the student. The frame that's here on the right, and I'm just going to use this little gray bar in the middle to kind of open it up a little bit more, is where you can assign the numeric score and also provide overall text feedback. But there are some options down here at the bottom that you can use to actually record audio and video and return that to a student. So if you have annotated their Word submission for a paper here and you've given them all kinds of corrections or comments or feedback on that particular submission, you might want to record a quick audio recording or a quick video that walks them through those comments and that annotation so they understand exactly what you meant when you did the strike through or the circle or the suggestion that you're providing them. It means nothing's lost in translation. They actually understand what you're trying to give them in that feedback. And again, it's the very same option that we see when we access the rich content editor from all of those other different locations in Canvas. Looks like that little playback. It's the media comment. When I click that, same options that we had before, I can record right now on the fly using either just my microphone or the webcam. And again, I can start recording. It gives me the countdown. And when I'm finished talking again, I can just hit finish. If I want to discard it and start over, I can start over. But if I'm happy with it, I click save. And it attaches that video to the submission comments area for the students so that they are able to review that feedback. There is also a feature specific to Chrome. So if you happen to be using Chrome as your browser, then this is the text to speech. So if you want to start, go ahead. Okay, so if you want to record some text, I can actually just record what I'm saying. This assignment was pretty great. And it will take what I'm saying and put it in the window. And when I'm finished, I just hit stop. And if I'm happy with the translation, again, I can just hit submit. So it saves you a little time if you'd rather just dictate your comments instead of typing them in that window. So again, the text to speech is available only when you're using Chrome, and it's that third button there. But the media comment option is available to everybody, no matter which browser you're using when accessing Canvas. And again, this allows you to provide audio and video feedback on any assignments or assessments that students have submitted in Canvas. Any questions about this in particular? Okay. I'm going to head back into Canvas. And then we're going to talk about the fifth way, which actually uses two separate tools. So if you're interested in holding office hours, or if you're interested in having, a guest lecturer, or if you want to host a review session that's live for students before an exam, or for whatever reason you want to hold some sort of synchronous live video conferencing with students, you can do that in Canvas two different ways. So Canvas has a built-in tool called Conferences. Again, you'll find that listed in the course menu on the left-hand side of the screen. And when you click Conferences, it brings you into the conference area. And the same way you create a new announcement or a new assignment, you use the new conference button to create a new conference. Conferences is integrated with Big Blue Button. That is the tool that is used to actually deliver the live webinar or the live video lecture in Canvas. You would give it a name. So if you're using this for office hours, we could call it office hours. Duration is not required. It's just informational only. So you can just let students know how long you're planning to be in this particular session. While there is the ability to record conferences in Canvas, These recordings are not available for an extended period of time. It is limited. I believe it's 14 days, and after 14 days, those recordings are no longer available. So if it's okay and you only need access to it for a short time, sure, feel free to select enable recording. But if recording is what you're after, we would actually recommend the second option, which is Zoom, that I'll show you in a second. You can also provide an optional description. And then what's nice with conferences is you can automatically invite all course members, all students in the course, or if you needed to have a private one-on-one meeting with a student in office hours, you can create a conference that is specific just to that one student in the list. So you could open it up to everybody and invite them all in together, or you could schedule private one-on-one conferences with a student. When you're done, you click update. And similar to Zoom, once the conference is created, it is listed on this page in Canvas. You as the instructor would click start to begin the conference. Students would have a button that allows them to join to get into the conference. So again, you're able to share your screen, you're able to share your camera, you can speak live with the students using your microphone as long as it's on. There is a text-based chat that's available in conferences as well. And so pretty much a lot of the same features that are available in Zoom are available in conferences. There are a couple of differences. The first being that I mentioned, recordings are not available after a certain period of time when you create them with conferences. So if you are recording lectures and you would like to reuse those lectures in a future semester, then we would recommend that you use Zoom for that option. If you are interested in inviting a guest speaker into your class, if you have a colleague who is outside of Rider, not Rider faculty or staff, then we would recommend using Zoom over conferences, because conferences is limited to the users that are in your course roster. So it is only available to you and the students who are registered for your course. So if you wanted to be able to invite an outside expert in, Zoom is going to be the option you would use for that. So if there's no questions about conferences, I will show you how to add the Zoom link to a course and set up Zoom as well. Okay, so I'm going to head over to settings. Just like we did with Illumira, I want to head over to navigation. And you will find Zoom listed again at the bottom of the options that are disabled in your course. We're going to click that edit button, the three dots in the right corner, select enable, and then remember to scroll down and hit the save button. Once I've done that, Zoom will appear in my course menu. And as long as I have claimed my Rider Zoom account, when I click Zoom, the Zoom LTI will work properly. It will open up. It will display any of the upcoming meetings that I have created for this course. I would have access to any previous meetings that were created for this course. If I had recorded any of those sessions, I would have access to them via the Cloud Recordings tab. Students have access to Zoom as well once you've added that link to your course menu. So when a student clicks Zoom, again, they have access to the upcoming meetings, but instead of start, they have a join button. So it really does make it very easy for them to access any of the sessions that you've created. To create a new Zoom session or a new Zoom meeting in this particular course, I just want to click that schedule a new meeting button that's at the top right. Just like we did for conferences, we want to give it a new name. Description is optional. You're simply using the menu options to choose the date and the time that the Zoom session is going to occur. You can select a duration. If this is a recurring meeting, it's going to happen on a regular basis. You can also set that up. And then down at the bottom are some of the meeting options. This required meeting password is on by default. It does fill in this password, but you are also able to change that to something you would prefer. So you can either leave it set as that default password or create your own. You can choose to mute participants upon entry. So if you've got a large class and you want to keep down on some of the chatter and feedback at the beginning as people are coming in and getting set up, you could turn that on. If you wanted to enable the waiting room, which was on for the session for today, it brings you into that waiting room and it'll wait for the instructor to invite you in. If you want to set that up for your Zoom sessions with your students, you would simply select that enable waiting room. And there's that record the meeting automatically option that you also have to turn on here as well. Well, I'm going to go ahead and click save. It will go ahead and create that meeting. And if I click my Zoom link again, if I look for the 27th, there's that session we just created. And again, I click start to begin the session. My students will click join. So it really is really easy to meet synchronously in a live session using Canvas tools, either conferences or Zoom. The one you choose will kind of depend on what it is you're using the tool for. So again, if you're recording, we recommend Zoom because you have unlimited access to those recordings. And if you're interested in inviting outside folks who are not rider staff or employees, you would also want to use Zoom over conferences. Any questions about those two options?
Is there any advantage in using conference over Zoom? I don't see any really.
It depends on if you are a user of Canvas who used conferences before we had Zoom. If you prefer conferences, you're familiar with conferences, you know how to use conferences, that would be the time that you would use it. If you don't like Zoom, some people just don't like Zoom or don't trust Zoom. And if you can do what it is you want to do with conferences, feel free. It comes with the product. It's a part of the product, and so it's available. So you could try both and see which one you like better.
Quelly, if we decide to add a Zoom session and we go through and do this, are students automatically notified once this is set up? Like, do they get an email saying you have a new Zoom session, or?
Not with our current LTI. So when it is created, we recommend that you post an announcement or send an email reminding them or letting them know that the session was scheduled and that they can access by going to the Zoom link. At some point, the LTI will be updated over the summer, and then it will trigger automatic notifications, but at this point, it does not. Okay,
so by the fall semester, that should be occurring?
I don't know that, John.
That would be a question for media services and OIT.
Okay. And I've been I've been emailing them in the past. I never quite knew if I needed to do that or if they were getting notified automatically, but I'll continue to email them.
Honestly, kind of a rule of thumb, Sharon, even kind of outside of Zoom for Canvas, if any system is emailing students automatically, it's going to go into that void usually. And even when their instructors are emailing them, it might go into that void. But we tend to see if an instructor is reaching out. Another example is the course evaluation system, where there's reminders going. We've actually looked, and when instructors also send reminders themselves, it's a higher response rate because students are actually listening and paying attention and reading them. So kind of the same rule I would say is going to apply here.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Anything else? Okay. So what I'm going to talk about next is just kind of quickly, if you are interested in screencasting or recording your lecture yourself, I wanted to really quickly demo a tool that we like to recommend, which is Screencastomatic. And I also wanted to just share the website for another tool that we are finding users are starting to use more and more frequently. Again, both of these options that we're going to show are free. There are paid pro versions of these tools. The Screencastomatic, I believe, is about $20 for a pro license if you were interested. I'm not sure about Loom, what they charge for theirs, but they're very easy to use. Not a whole lot of learning curve required for using those tools, and they are very flexible. So when you're thinking about recording a lecture for students, maybe it's to narrate a PowerPoint, maybe it's just to introduce the next unit, maybe it's just to give some clarification about something that students were confused about, and you saw a lot of questions on the last assignment. There are some lecture capture options. The first one is Zoom. So just like today, we're running this session and we are recording it. All faculty members have the ability to set up their own Zoom meetings, go into those Zoom sessions, record them, whether it's sharing a PowerPoint, whether it's just you talking, you can record that. And so when you're in Zoom, you're going to be sharing your screen. If you are narrating that PowerPoint, if it's just you talking, you just come in and start your camera and click record. Once you click record, our recommendation is you always choose the record to the cloud option. The other option is record to your computer, and that requires that you have space and a pretty good computer with great processing speed, because it really does take a lot out of that computer to do that recording and download it for you. So record to the cloud so that it is stored up in the Zoom cloud and it doesn't require anything on your end. What happens when that recording is available is you'll get an email from Zoom. And that email will contain 2 links. The first link is a link that is for instructors only, and it actually allows you to access and download the files themselves. So if you want access to the video file, the MP4, so that you can do some post-production on that, to cut maybe some pieces out or add some title pages or things like that, you can do that by downloading that MP4 file and using some sort of editing platform to do that. And then our recommendation is that you can upload those videos to Illumira and share them with students in a class. The other option for doing this kind of lecture capture is called Screencastomatic. And can everybody see this Screencastomatic on the screen?
Yeah.
Really back out of full screen.
Hang on. I'll stop and come back in, because I actually was not in full screen, John.
Oh,
So I don't know.
correct.
So I'm not sure why it was showing in that way. Okay, so I'm back in. Can you see? You should see screencastomatic.com.
Oh, the website, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're at screencastomatic.com, you can sign up for free. If you want to upgrade, that's where you're signing up for the pro license, but you can launch the free recorder. When you click launch free recorder, what you should see next is this black and white dashed box appear on your screen, along with a pop-up menu of recording options. You're able to record just your screen. So if you're narrating a PowerPoint, this is the option that you're going to choose. You also have the ability to choose your webcam if you just want your talking head recorded, and you also have the ability to choose both your screen as well as your webcam. The free version does limit you to 15 minutes at a time, and that's actually pretty fine with us, because when you're creating these screencasts or these videos for students, the recommendation really is that you keep it to 10, maybe 15-minute chunks. So the fact that you're limited to 15 is not a negative when you're using the free version of Screencastomatic. It will let you know that it is recording from your microphone. If you needed to choose a different mic, you can always do that by selecting the options here. If I am doing a screencast and I'm demoing software and I need it to capture my computer audio, or there's a video clip that I'm going to be showing on my computer and I need it to capture my computer audio, then I would turn that on here. It does require that you have to upgrade for that. And then I can simply click record. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a PowerPoint presentation up here, and then I am going to resize that box just around the slides. So it's going to ignore anything else that's open and around the presentation. It is only going to record my screen that shows up within those brackets. And then I can hit the record button. And when I hit record, it gives me the countdown. And at this point, it is now recording everything that's in my screen as well as my voice. If I need to navigate to the next slide, I simply do that by scrolling and clicking on the next slide in the PowerPoint window itself, but it is not capturing any of those clicks. It will simply show the new PowerPoint presentation or the new PowerPoint slide within the window. When I'm done, I simply click pause. If I am happy with the recording, I can click done. If I want to delete it and get rid of it and start over, I can. And if I just want to pick up recording where I left off, I can do that as well. If I'm happy and I'm done, then you have some basic editing video options that you can use in the free editor, or you can also choose to save and do your post-production using some other options that you might have. I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to save as video file. And then I'm just going to call this testing 1, 2, 3. I'm going to save it to my desktop. I'm just going to hit publish. And just that quickly, I can narrate a PowerPoint presentation using that Screencastomatic tool that is available. So again, if you're interested, that's screencastomatic.com. No install required. This is the information if you're interested in upgrading or going for the license that will allow you more than the 15-minute recording, as well as some extra video editing options. The other option that we have found that users are starting to use is something called Loom. And so if you go to loom.com, you would have to select the screen recorder option. And again, it is another free tool that allows you to record just the screen, just the camera, or a combination of both. And pretty similar to what you can do with Screencastomatic, you can very quickly create lecture content for students that can then be uploaded to Illumira for storage and sharing in Canvas. Any questions about those two options?
I do.
Okay.
We've been asked for people who are teaching light hybrid, heavy hybrid, or fully in the classroom. We've been asked to provide some information about how we will reach students who can't come to class, maybe they're quarantined or whatever. Are these tools options for that? In other words, can I record what goes on in my classroom and make that available to students who can't come to class? And which is the best option to do that? Zoom, screencasting, Loom?
So if you're talking about what's happening in a live in-person lecture in a classroom,
Right.
that is going to be Zoom. And so what you would be doing in that situation is when you're in the classroom from the instructor podium, from the instructor computer, you would launch a Zoom session.
Mm-hmm.
And those students could either join in live in real time from their home or wherever they are off campus and join that Zoom session so that they can hear what is happening in your classroom. If you are presenting PowerPoint slides, then you would open those slides in the Zoom session so that the students virtually can see it and the students in the classroom can see it projected on the screen from the instructor computer. And that recording that can also be recorded. So if you had a student who was not able to join live, they just weren't feeling well enough to do that, if you record the session, then you could provide the link of the recording to them later. So Zoom would really be the best option for that. We believe OIT is pursuing microphones that can be installed in the classrooms, which would allow the room to pick up the audio from the instructor and the students in the classroom pretty easily so that the students on the other side can hear. We just don't have specifics about when that will be installed and ready for instructors to test or try out.
So what a student would get, a student who's not in class, would get the PowerPoints and a
So
lecture.
if they're joining live, they would be listening to your lecture as it happens via the Zoom connection in the classroom. So as long as you have opened up the Zoom session and they have joined the Zoom session, They would be able to see your slides as long as you shared them in Zoom, and they would be able to hear what you're saying and any questions from their classmates, as well as ask their own, either by asking using their mic or typing that in. If you've recorded that session and they were not in the live session, they would be able to see your slides and hear what happened in the classroom via the recording once you share it with them.
One final question. So if you are using both PowerPoints and a whiteboard, will they have access to what you do on the whiteboard?
Are you using the whiteboard in Zoom?
How would I do that? No, not the whiteboard in Zoom, the whiteboard, the actual
classroom
whiteboard in the classroom.
Yeah, that I'm not sure about, because it depends on where the camera is and how it is oriented. So if the whiteboard is at the front of the class and you could easily turn the monitor so that the camera is capturing the whiteboard, then the students would be able to see that. But again, without knowing the classroom setup or the equipment in there, I can't promise that that would be able to happen easily.
Right. So it wouldn't be, it would be physically turning the computer so that it's
Possibly,
on the whiteboard. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, any other questions about that?
I think we're good.
Okay, so I do like to mention this. I'm not exactly going to demo this, and I am going to stop sharing while I talk about this and turn my camera back on. But if you're interested in narrating your PowerPoint presentation, the other option that you could use is PowerPoint itself, because PowerPoint does allow you to add audio to your presentation slides using the built-in tools in PowerPoint. What that allows you to do is actually record by slide, so you don't have to narrate the entire presentation from start to finish like you would if you were recording using Zoom or Loom or in Screencastomatic. You are able to do one slide at a time, which is a lot easier if you have to fix a mistake. So if you make a mistake halfway through, you don't have to know how to edit that out or go back and start over. You could actually just record that slide, and if you messed up, just delete it and re-record that one particular slide. The only issue, and I say issue and I really shouldn't, is that if you are a Mac user, you are not able to save that narrated PowerPoint presentation as a movie file using PowerPoint for the Mac. It gives you a video with no audio attached. So if you have a Mac, the workaround is to do the saving of the narration using Keynote. If you happen to have Keynote installed on the Mac, if you don't, recommend getting that. Or if you have access to a PC, take that narrated PowerPoint, open it up on a PC, and then do the save as movie file. So that is the only gotcha if you're going to go the route of recording the narration directly in PowerPoint. Don't save as movie on the Mac, because you get a movie with no audio, which is not what you're going for at all. Just some basic tips: work from a script when you're doing either these lectures if you can, or notes. If you don't want to script out every single word, give a basic outline or some notes of what you want to cover, so that you have an idea. You can also use that as the basis for captions if you're interested later on down the road, if you have that script. Again, chunk if at all possible, 10 to 15 minutes. Students really don't want to watch an hour and a half long presentation. They really want to be able to watch those short bits and go to exactly the content that they need. If you are going to record, get a good USB mic that you can plug in. It gives you better audio quality. It also cuts out any of the background noise that might be around you as you're working from home, as those of us who have all of those distractions going on at all times are aware. It really helps cut down on some of that. It's okay to make mistakes. We make mistakes when we present live. Your recorded presentations don't have to be perfect every time. Just have fun with it. You can't break it. We're here to help you if you're struggling with how to do that. We do have a resource available this summer. I don't know if you've already seen the announcement from the TLC that Scott from the communication department is available to work with faculty, since We are not yet sure when the studio on campus is going to be able to open. So if you don't want to wait and you want to start working now from home, Scott is a resource that you can reach out to and schedule time with, and he can work with you to help you record from home using any of the tools that we mentioned in the session today. And if you have any other questions, we're available to answer those now. So everybody can unmute. No, you don't have to type in the chat anymore. Did we get everything, John? Was there something that?
Well, I was just about to say, and there was a lot of messages that were also being sent privately to me. So if I missed your question, please feel free just to bring it back up now. I apologize if I did miss you, though.
I was just about to type, but if I may, could you tell one more time, how do we get around the issue of Mac using to record the slide video?
Right. So if you are working on a Mac and you're using PowerPoint, you can go ahead and do the recording, inserting them onto your slides from your Mac, and save the narrated PowerPoint. But when you want to do the step of saving it as a movie file, because that's the step that actually creates the video that students can watch, that is what you cannot do using PowerPoint for the Mac. So when you're ready for that step, you would need to either open that narrated PowerPoint in Keynote. So you would need to install Keynote on the Mac, or if you have access to a PC, then you would open the narrated PowerPoint on that PC. Then once it's open in either Keynote or in PowerPoint on your PC, then you can do the save as movie option. Because if you save as movie on your PowerPoint for the Mac, it's going to save it as a video with absolutely no audio.
So you have to install a Keynote.
Keynote.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sharon, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to unmute you. I was hitting a button and then the participants pane jumped around, and so you got a little notification asking you to unmute. That was accidental.
Completely fine.
Whaley, this is Alex.
Hey, Alex.
So between Loom and Screencastomatic, what seems easiest for you to use? I mean, you spent more time on Screencastomatic than
Because
Loom.
that's what I learned first. So that's what I was going to say to you. If you have no tie to either, and they're
Loom
both,
is very new.
it's new, but
being free.
For first-time users, I think the feedback I've gotten is they're both about the same in terms of being able to first time through able to produce a pretty good video. If you have no ties to Screencast-O-Matic, feel free to try Loom. I just demoed Screencast-O-Matic because that's what we've been using. That's what I'm familiar with. Loom is still pretty new to us.
If I can add, the one thing that I liked about recording in Zoom was that I can leave this fake background behind me, whereas if I did Screencast-O-Matic, I had to get a nice background, or I threw a sheet actually on something. And I don't know what Loom does, but that's the only nice thing that I liked with Zoom was that at least I can.
Loom has the same limitations as Screencast-O-Matic, so there is no ability to do that background with Loom either.
Yeah, so that's the only plus for Zoom for me.
Other questions? Guys made this easy for us today. Well, I don't know. John, you might have been typing a lot.
I wasn't too bad.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us. We will make sure to send the recording. We still have time, so we can hang out and answer any other questions if you have them. But if you don't, we'll say thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.